Hi everyone, we are Miracle Workshop and we are a project with Carnegie Mellon University Entertainment Technology Center, and we are working with Give Kids the World, who is our client, which is a non-profit organization in Florida. We are working on revitalizing and have converted an existing mechanical puppet into a 5-function animatronic. And this video talks about how we have used the animation converter given to us by Weigl Show Control Systems to convert the animations from Maya on a 3D model and convert them into a data that is recognized by the motors on our animatronic, which allows us to transfer the animations created in Maya to our animatronic in reality. So to begin with the process, as you can see, this is our animation file. And if I go through this animation,
I do. I have a library full of them. It's kind of a problem, though.
so as you can see, this is an animation, and on the outliner, you can see we have all the joints, and like all the joints are keyframed since the animation has already been done. So after you are done with your animation and you have saved your file, you need to go to File and go to Save Scene As, and now you need to save the file as in Maya ASCII file because we need the Maya ASCII file as the converter supports ASCII files and uses the ASCII file to convert the data and recognize the joints from the outliner. Therefore, now you can go ahead and click on Save Scene As, where you'll get a pop-up message displayed with the location where you want to save the file as. Suppose I'm saving the file here, and you can use any naming convention that you want that you feel like is recognizable by you. And so I'm just going to click on Save As and save this file. After I have saved my file, I'm just waiting for it to get saved completely, as Maya ASCII files take some time for getting saved, so you need to wait for a little while. Till the time my file is getting saved, the file has been saved now, and you can see here now it's a Maya ASCII file. As you can see, the extension is .ma. Now I'll just go ahead and open my animation converter. So I just went onto the search menu and typed in Weigl animation converter, and this is the interface for the animation converter. Now the first step that we begin with is to go ahead and click on load file. Now you need to go onto the same location where you had saved your file for the story time experience, that is the recent file that you saved, which I saved by the name of s1_1. So I'm just going to click on it and select open. As you can see here, the file has been loaded. Now in order to locate the joints, you need to go ahead and click on scan for objects. So here you need to type in the name of the joint. Like as you can see here, we have used a naming convention where all the joints start with Tom. Therefore, you should definitely, like for doing any conversion, all the joints should have a keyword in it. Like for example, Tom mouth servo, Tom head servo. So so that the Weigl can locate all the joints together by just when you just type in the keyword. Therefore, if I go ahead and type in the keyword here as Tom and click on continue, then after some time all my joints will be loaded. As you can see now, based on the keyword, it has recognized all the joints beginning with Tom keyword and has loaded it into the converter. You'll also get an error message as import values. It is not an error message, it's a pop-up message, sorry. You'll get a pop-up message with the question as import values. Would you like to import min and max values from the .csv file? This is when you have created an external CSV file separately, which does not, which has the joints name or anything. But since we do not have that, we just click on no, and you would not require it for our pipeline. But in case you want to save all the joints name into a separate .csv file, then you can use that to load all the joints. Now, after all the joints have been loaded, we just go to the main server joint, the dummy joint, as discussed in the previous video as well as in the documentation, which we are using for the converter. So, for example, for the mouth, it's the tom mouth servo main joint. And now, after we have selected our joint, we need to enter the minimum and maximum value. How we get these minimum and maximum values is based on a documentation and on a certain process which has been discussed by our programmer in another video and documentation, so you can refer that. These min and max values are basically responsible for converting the data from the Maya files, which is like the rotational data, like the angle values, into values based on the min and max values using a formula that allows it to convert into percentage values, which causes the motor to rotate. Therefore, for example, for the tom mouse servo main, our minimum and maximum values are -200 to +200. And since the rotation is taking place in the x-axis, we just leave the x-axis as selected. Also ensure that since if we are using Conductor Pro, that the Conductor Pro is selected. If you are using another software like Venue Magic, then you need to select Venue Magic. Now, since we have entered the minimum and maximum values and selected the axis, we'll just click on Start Conversion. Here we are getting a frame rate for conversion. Since in Maya we have used the frame rate as 24 frames, which is for 1 second there are 24 frames. Therefore, here also our frame rate would be 24. And then we need to click on continue. Now it will give us an option to save a file as a .csv file. Ensure that it is the extension is as a CSV file. And now you can save the name as any name, like do keep Y output file so that you are able to recognize that it is an output file. And then just enter the dialog name or any other naming convention that suits you and save the file. Now the conversion will take place and it will convert the file into a .csv file. The conversion might take some time, and when it's converted, you will get a message as conversion complete. You can click on OK here. And now if we go to the file where our conversion took place, so this is our converted file, and if you open it, it will display a .csv file. And as you can see, the converter has now converted it into percentage values, which will cause the servo to rotate at these values. So it's 50%, which means 0, 55, which means 20 degrees, and 60, which means 40 degrees. Since in this animation there was not any 40 degrees of motion, therefore we cannot see any 60% value. But this gives you a general idea of how the converter converts the files. And also we have the time. So like after how many seconds does the mouth move, and this basically is the file that you'll use in Conductor for creating a show file, about which we have discussed in another documentation and another video, which you can refer after watching the video completely. So this basically gives an idea about how we use and convert the data for the joints from Maya and for the animations into a file that allows us to convert the data into percentage values recognized by motors. Similarly, I'll do the same thing for the head tilt servo main. For the head tilt servo main, since the head tilt is in Z axis, I'll just select Z axis here and enter the value as minus 367 and 300, which is the min and max values for the head tilt function. And then I'll click on start conversion, enter the frame rate, and then save the file as S1 tilt. Similarly, I do the same thing for my head turn. So I'll go to head turn servo main, select y-axis since the rotation is in y-axis, and the min and max values are minus 450 to 450. Therefore, I'll then click on conversion, enter the frame rate, and do the same process. The same process we'll then repeat for the torso bend as well as scepter move. And the min and max values for the torso bend are from minus 105 to minus 22 in the y-axis direction, whereas for the scepter move it is minus 72 to plus 48 in the y-axis direction. You can also find these values in a separate documentation that we have provided along with the videos, and you can always go and refer them. Therefore, this is basically how you take a file from Maya and use the joints and use the data from rotation data from the joints and convert it into data recognized by servos with using min and max values in the animation converter. Another thing, if you want to load another file, like this file is for one dialog. If you want to load another file for another dialog, then you need to click on clear so that all your data from the previous file gets cleared. Otherwise it gets confusing and it's get calculated up. Now you go back to the same process, click on load file and select any other file. Like I'll select the next dialog, which is S2. Click on open. It will load the file. And as you can see, the file is loaded. Now we can do the same thing, scan for objects and click on our keyword for the joints. Click on continue and it will load all the joints. Therefore, this is how our pipeline for taking the animations from Maya and converting it into data that is recognized by an animatronic and allows us to transfer the animations from Maya from our 3D model to our actual animatronic and see them live in action. If you have any doubts or any questions, you can again refer the documentation for it. We have a detailed documentation for the same. And thank you so much. Hope this video helps. And we are again Miracle Workshop. And if you would like to go through our process, you can always visit our website. And thank you again.